are in the west central section of Michigan, where the Sleeping Bear sand dunes form a unique setting for Glen Lake, toward which the sands are creeping at the rate of 6 feet a year, burying trees and every unmoving object in their glacier-like path. The native Indians name this picturesque region Lilano, or Land of Delight, and the true meaning of its name has become significant to the thousands of visitors who come here for their summer holidays. The vaster body of water in the distant background is Lake Michigan, which has already absorbed thousands of acres of sand from this odd formation. Glen Lake is regarded as one of the 4 most beautiful lakes in the world, and it is particularly noted for its constantly changing colors. Boating, bathing, and fishing are popular diversions here. But for a most unusual thrill, we suggest a ride over the sand dunes in these so-called dunes-mobiles, which are appropriately equipped with balloon tires and other accessories for desert travel. This strange area extends for 5 miles along the coast, and it is said to be the world's largest moving sand dune. Not far from here, on Grand Traverse Bay, an arm of Lake Michigan, lies Traverse City, the cherry capital of the world. About a century ago, the first white settlers were attracted here by extensive pine forests, which were eventually exhausted. Then, by way of experiment, a farmer planted an acre of cherry trees, and the results were so phenomenal that today, this region is the proud bearer of over 1 million cherry trees, making it necessary to import thousands of laborers to harvest and process the crops. In peak seasons, about 25 million pounds of cherries go through the canning plants in this region. We arrive at the Ogama State Game Refuge just in time to witness the feeding of the fawns. These fascinating creatures were found wandering like little orphans in the forest and were brought here for care and protection. While we're on the subject of animals, let's drive down to Harrison, where old Spikehorn Meyer holds forth with his family of bears. This eccentric character, known as the Bear Man of Michigan, has spent most of his 80 years with dumb animals, in preference, he says, to human beings. He seems to have a remarkable influence over bears in particular, and although their love caresses, as he calls them, often knock him about, he never seems to fear them. Fear, he says, is readily sensed by all animals, and they are quick to take advantage of it. Even tame bears are dangerous when they are with cubs, but old Spikehorn Myers mingles freely with mother bears and cubs at any time. Traveling northward across the Strait of Mackinac, which joins Lake Michigan with Lake Huron, we come to the Upper Peninsula, where Lake Huron adds an expansive portion of its picturesque shores to the long coastline of Michigan. The Great Lakes which surround the state of Michigan make it a veritable land of lakes, in which may be seen boats of every kind and description. This is one of the icebreakers used during the winter months to keep the lanes of traffic open throughout the Great Lakes. The annual boat regatta is a traditional attraction at Mackinac Island, a popular vacation resort which has distinguished itself as the last stand of the horse by excluding all forms of motorized vehicles. famous among the many fine hotels on this unique island is the Grand Hotel, with the longest porch in the world. It was in this historic region that the Aboriginal Indians first saw the coming of the white man. And according to local historians, the actual spot upon which the Indian scouts stood was this ancient lookout, now called Castle Rock. At the east end of the Upper Peninsula, we arrive at Sault Ste. Marie, the oldest white settlement in Michigan, which shares with its Canadian namesake across the river the distinction of being the proud custodian of the world-famous Soo Locks. The St. Mary's River connects Lake Superior with Lake Huron, and in former days, the falls extended across the river from shore to shore, forming a natural barrier to boat and canoe traffic. In 1845, the first steamboat that entered Lake Superior, a 280-ton craft, was portaged past the falls in a crude cradle built on greased waves, and the time required was 7 weeks. Today, vessels 10 times that size can be moved through the locks in less than an hour. Surrounded as it is by the Great Lakes, Michigan is favored by water communication with 7 states, and about 4/5 of its water freight passes through the Soo Locks, the largest waterway gate in the world, accommodating more tonnage annually than the combined capacity of the Suez and Panama canals. And all this in spite of the fact that the operation of the Soo Locks is limited to 8 months in the year because of freezing weather. Most of the tonnage passing through is iron ore, but there is considerable traffic in other commodities, particularly trucks and automobiles, from the gigantic automotive factories of Michigan. We are now on the shore of Lake Superior, the largest of the Great Lakes, in a region that is noted for its tourist allure. Among the many tributaries of Lake Superior is the Tequamanon River, which flows through the land that inspired Henry Wadsworth Longfellow to write his immortal story of Hiawatha. It was here in the forest primeval, within the sound of Tequamanon Falls, that Hiawatha built his birch bark canoe. And it is here in modern times that we choose to pause a while and picnic with our newfound friends. And it is here that we now conclude our roaming in Michigan.